What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and today we're going to be breaking down game number 58 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Boston Bruins in come-from-behind fashion here in overtime with a couple of goals from Mitch Marner, Nick Robertson on the board, Morgan Rielly on the board, a career milestone night for him there as well, and Mitch Marner continues what has been an unbelievable, 5 days now at the Toronto Dominion Garden. People seem quick to forget that one. TD Garden, Toronto Dominion Garden. We'll break it all down. We will also be joined by none other than Nick Alberga here on the show tonight. A presentation of Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account, Bet365 today. Bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION, all caps. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We will be joined by Nick Alberga here in just a moment, but before we can get to that, I want to remind everybody we also have a Super Chat charity partner on the show this season, and that would be Sick Kids Charity. We have an unbelievable cause here on the show, and however you want to get involved, you want your question or your comment displayed on the show, you want us to answer it, you want Nick to answer it specifically, you want to make fun of us for something stupid we've said, whatever it may be, those happen a lot. You fire in a super chat. You can choose it with your super sticker there. You send those in, and your super sticker, sorry, and we can answer any and all of those questions, comments, and concerns that you guys have throughout the course of the show. But with that being said, let's get to the man himself. I don't want to wait too much longer because I feel like there's a chance he's pretty juiced up, and we don't want to let it wear off. Nick Alberga, how's it going, buddy? How you feeling after this one?
Feeling great, man. Lots to uncover from that game. What an array of emotions from puck drop to the ending in OT, and Mitch Marner wins it. I don't know where you want to start with this one.
Okay, let's just go chronological and the atrocious start that we witnessed here. That is what happened. I mean, it was a pretty ridiculous start by the team. 29 seconds in, David Pastrnak gets sprung for a breakaway. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. It goes over Jake McCabe, under Chris Tanev, and then Pastrnak in alone. But, no matter how you want to put it, that's a pretty shitty way to start a hockey game.
Yeah, and in the group chat, a bunch of you made the comments that you barely sat down to watch the game and already Pastrnak had scored. It was the worst case scenario in the first 5 minutes. Pastrnak scored because, of course, he does against the Leafs.
Yeah, why not?
And they lost Chris Tanev, which is obviously a big story and a sidebar story to this game. Obviously, it helps when you win, but losing Tanev is not going to help long-term for this team moving forward. But yeah, it was just a very lackadaisical start. I almost expected it. I thought there was going to be desperation here from Boston. You can't forget they had dropped 3 in a row. We're 1 point out of the playoff spot coming into this game. So I expected their best. They always play Toronto strong. But I like the way that the Leafs recovered and built upon the difficult start. I thought they weathered the storm. And again, it gets back to Anthony Stolarz. The timeliness of the saves throughout the game, I thought, set the Maple Leafs up for this victory, Zach.
That's a good way to put it, and a good word to use is the timeliness of the saves. It doesn't have to be the big backdoor glove save that gets on a highlight reel and you win 4-3 here tonight, and it's okay, yeah, that's great, it's thrown in there. It was what was the scenario? Oh, they had just made it within 1. They had just cut a lead down to 2. There's a 2-on-1 the other way, and it's Stolarz who's getting across to make the save. This guy is so dialed in at all times, and you walk away from this on 4 goals against. And again, and I said it on Saturday night against Carolina, he let in 3 that night. It didn't feel like 3 and 4 goal games against Stolarz the way that he played and how big he came up for the team.
Well, it's interesting, too. I really felt like the Leafs had belief in their system. They didn't really deviate, even when they got down early in that game and got down convincingly. They didn't really deviate from, Craig Berube's system. I thought it was Boston who really tried to open things up, which made no sense to me. And defensively, They were a train wreck. And obviously, the Leafs story with no Tanev and McCabe moving over. But I think the Leafs deserve a lot of credit, and that's been a story throughout this season. They really haven't changed the way they've played, Zach, regardless of the score in the game. And it actually helped them in the long run in this game because the Bruins played right into their hands. And you got to credit Toronto for capitalizing some marquee opportunities. And again, to get that late goal, the depth scoring. Nick Robertson was great in this game. Pontus Holmberg's been excellent after the Four Nations break here. And I just think it's such great news that, yeah, the big boys were really good in the second half of this game, namely Mitch Marner. But the fact that you're getting depth scoring now just makes you a scary team. And just to add to Morgan Riley, as you talked about off the top, a 4-point night for him suddenly now has 8 points in his last 7 outings here.
I know, seriously. Guy starts heating up at going into the break. I talked about it on Saturday. I'm like, man, it feels like the break maybe didn't do so good for him because I think he looked okay on Saturday. And then it's like, okay, against Chicago, and then roll it over here tonight. Back to kind of where he had left off right before that thing finished. I'm going to ask you a shitty big picture question based on what we've seen. The biggest conversation right now has been depth scoring and depth contribution. You know, you get Pontus Holmberg 2 goals on Saturday, a goal on Sunday, a goal here again tonight. Nick Robertson is a guy that we've been asking all season, when is he going to score or can he score? And Max Domi's failed to generate offense, and yet here we are coming out of this. The bigger piece of it is not coming out of Four Nations. Oh, nice, they've got points. It's 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. Brad Treliving sitting up there assessing what do you need, how important are these pieces, maybe even at this point, how much are you willing to give up based on how badly you need those pieces? Do you trust this? Because it feels like it's been 56, I guess we went into the break at 55. So 55 games, lacking it, wondering where it is every night. Now we get to 56, 57, 58, and here it is. Too little, too late. Do you believe this is who they are? Like, what the hell is this spurt of offense from the depth right now?
I think it's too little, too late. Just like Rosie on Leafs One Take was hammering me the last couple of days about Alex Steves, he was benched in this game.
Yeah.
I think it's so tough, but you got to go game by game, even shift by shift when it comes to the depth. Like, even if you recall in December, that Robertson third line with McMahon and Domi were buzzing for a 3-4 game stretch. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's going to impact what they're looking for in the trade market. It's clear they're looking for a center. I think Calle Yarncroke's going to be a big-time addition to the bottom six when he does come back. But
I think
at the
so
very
too.
least, yeah.
I think
no,
so
like
too.
he's
I
been a
heard you
big
say
story
that. You're
too,
on your
right?
own on that. I actually very much agree. Like, I think he's going to be a piece here.
Yeah, I concur. Veteran 33. Obviously, it's a recency thing, but last year had no points in 7 games in that series against Boston. So I'm really intrigued. Like, I think at the very least, he deserves the benefit of the doubt. He did score 20 goals 2 seasons ago. Last year, he's on pace for 15. And he's like the perfect depth piece, and he shoots right, and he can play, he can take draws. He can play all positions. Like, I think he's an asset for this team, and it's more so I think people saw what happened in the second half. He was injured, wasn't good in the playoffs, and that's why people are really harping on him. But getting back to the game too, like it just so many encouraging factors when it comes to the depth guys. The sample size is way too small to suggest that they've turned a corner, but it's still a welcome development for me, Zach.
Yeah, it is nice to see. I mean, I'm kind of on the same page as you and wanted to lead you down that road to make sure that people who are watching aren't sitting here thinking I'm the only one with these opinions, because I get dunked on saying, shut the fuck up, Nick Robertson can score and we've known he can score. And like, well, he hasn't for 3.5 years here now, but finally he's figured it out and this is who he is. I don't know. I'm a little hesitant to believe it. If I'm Brad Treliving, I'm not really willing to go into the trade deadline banking that these guys carry this on for, by the way, the next like 25 games or whatever of the regular season, 24 games, and then into the playoffs. I would much rather go out there and still try to acquire pieces. But regardless, I mean, to get these contributions here now, not make it all on the big boys to show up is certainly something. I want to kind of put that on the on the front center here, though, with this. David Pastrnak, 2 goals. Brad Marchand scores a goal here for the Bruins. Obviously, and I saw your tweet earlier, like, those guys are going to have to include the Maple Leafs in their Hall of Fame speech. It's a funny tweet, but it's like every single time they play them, they find ways to get not a points, like multiple and big ones and big moments. And David Pastrnak makes it 4-3 late in the game to take the lead. Like, yeah, they lost the game, but you kind of got to look at some of those moments. Mitch Marner steps up late there. He gets a couple of goals, the OT winner in that included. I was kind of looking around for a little while, wondering where 34 and 88 were. Austin Matthews has failed to score against a goaltender in a while. Nylander has kind of gone in and out. I thought he was pretty decent on Saturday. I thought he was one of the best players on the ice on Sunday for the Maple Leafs specifically. But then here again tonight, late third period, I'm kind of like, where the hell is this guy? Why can't we get some of the big boys on the board? Is that a concern for you? Especially like a game like this against the Bruins, things get tight, things get physical. We're wondering where those guys are.
Couple posts for Matthews too to add, and
Yeah.
of course another story in OT. Willie Nylander, I don't think took a shift, and they cropped in on him, and he had the glove off. You wonder if he got slashed or something, and I just wonder if that impacted his game. I don't know when it took place, so maybe a reserve judgment on his front. I think he had some moments, but you're so right. It just seems like every time Boston needs that big goal, it's Marchand or Pastrnak. But I think they're really limited in their options, specifically now with McAvoy out of the lineup. It was either Geeky, it was Pastrnak, it was Marchand, and that's about it. Trent Frederick, who's a trade candidate, goes down, I should say, out in the second period, does not return. But I did like the response again by the Maple Leafs. Like, you need to find a way to win games like that sometimes. And I know it's the regular season, but dare I say, like, the script is starting to flip a bit, because how many times in the last decade was that Boston, who wasn't the better team in a matchup against the Leafs, and still found a way to get the win? And now this season, it seems like everything's coming up Toronto. Like we just talked about it, 3-0-1 against the Boston Bruins in the 4-game series. I recognize it's the regular season, but just watching the Bees play against the Leafs, it just seems like a bit of a different story. And one of the biggest stats I could pull from this season series too, Mitch Marner, his elevation. You wonder how much he could learn, or we laugh about learning lessons, but 12 points in 4 outings this season against the Boston Bruins, which means he's showing up, which is great news for me.
12 points in 4 outings against the Bruins, 2 goals here tonight, the OT winner. I mean, he almost, by the way, had... I'm actually curious, where would you rank that? If he pulls off that pass to John Tavares and he scores that, like, where is that for you in, say, the last 25 years in terms of goals scored?
Ooh. Yeah,
obviously
like, to me,
hard
though,
to throw in exactly, but
yeah, the Ovechkin one comes to mind against Arizona, like the
yeah.
drag on the ice. That was still, like, I think I was watching that game live when that took place. It's got to be up there. Like, it just shows you the skill set. It shows you why Mitch Marner is an upper echelon elite star in this league when he pulls shit like that off. Like, 3-on-3 is his bread and butter, and that's why he continues to get the job done in OT. We saw it at the Four Nations, but I thought his 5-on-5 game was really good. I thought the PK was pretty decent. Yeah. I know they surrendered 4 power play goals, or excuse me, 2 power play goals in this game, but I thought the combo of Matthews and Marner, very lethal, but very good, detail-wise defensively, which you love to see from the star players when it comes to the PK. But I think the all-around game of Marner much better tonight than it was the last 2 games where I thought he looked a bit fatigued. Even getting back to the whole Matthews conversation, there just seems to be something a bit off with this guy, say the last month. Even watching him at the Four Nations, I thought he was great in the final. But as Rosie always like to talk about, like, the shot, it's just a bit off. He had 2 posts in this game, whereas maybe it's just a thing where he was just so locked in last year. But more times than not, he gets that curl and drag, he's going to score. But he hit the post a couple times in this game. So you wonder if that's a luck thing or something going on with his wrist or his back, or maybe a combo of both. Like, I'm very curious to know, like, what the other injury was at the Four Nations, because we talked about it quick, then we moved on. But again, I'm not going to bury the lead. It's a really impressive win. I think the Leafs, to an extent, had no business winning that game, but they stuck with the game, and they found a way to get the job done here.
Yeah, and I mean, on the Matthews front, we saw him there at the end of the game when you're tied, and that's kind of how Pontus Holmberg and those guys end up out on the ice. You saw the big boys out there for an extended period of time. I think it was like a minute 41, Mike Johnson said on the broadcast, that Matthews' shift had extended out to. But with like a minute 20 into it, and I get it, you're at the end of the game, you're going balls to the wall, Matthews looked like he couldn't even move. And the other guys had been out there for around the same period of time at that point, and it was just a massive struggle for him to be even maneuvering around. He rips one off the bar, like, why the fuck not? That's just what he does. But yeah, you're struggling late. He's been out there, look fatigued, you look a little hurt. Something does just seem off right now. Hopefully that gets sorted out. I don't know, shut him down, whatever you got to do to make sure you fix this thing. But Yeah, I mean, all in all, this is a pretty solid win. I'm kind of curious your thoughts on adjustments made here tonight because we saw people move around. We saw the team bounce back and fight back, but Craig Berube was shuffling pieces around tonight. Matthew Nyes, I don't think was good very early on. He looked a little bit. I don't want to. I don't want to say like bad. He just looked off. Like passes were a bit off. He was in the lane a step too late or a step too early, or he's bumping into somebody when he shouldn't have been, kind of stuff. And then Craig Berube says, all right, let's switch this thing. Puts him down to the line with Max Domi and Nick Robertson, puts Bobby McMahon into the second line left wing spot there, makes some quick adjustments, and all of a sudden you start to get some chemistry going, or you start to get some offense generated on that third line. McMahon, as always, is able to move his legs pretty well and kind of can keep up with those guys mentally, physically on the second line. What'd you make of the Berube adjustments in this game with not only the forwards, but having to handle Chris Tanev going out there early too?
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. We talked about Jake McCabe, but you lose Chris Tanev for pretty much the whole game, and to play with five defensemen, I thought the Leafs battled, especially the way Pastrnak and Marchand were playing very determined in this game. Playing the hunch, and I know the big line, the big boys were tired late, they were gassed, and to put Holmberg on the ice, and he's the guy who ties things up. Even after the break, a lot of eyebrows were raised when they come back and they have Holmberg on line 2 and McMahon on line 3, and
Yeah.
ever since then, like you credit Pontus Holmberg. He's had a really, really strong 3-game stretch here playing Craig Berube hockey. Even Nick Robertson. I love when coaches reward players, like very similar to the Four Nations final where Mitch Marner started on the third line. And then there was an exchange halfway through the game where Mark Stone goes down to line 3 and then Marner gets elevated to line 2 with McDavid and just takes off from there. We've seen a lot of that throughout this season, quite frankly, from Craig Berube. It continued in this game. Like he played Holmberg quite a bit. He played Robertson quite a bit. Again, in general, it's great that this team is so different, Zach, when they can trust all four lines. And of course, we're not seeing Ryan Reeves in the lineup right now. And I think they're getting a lot out of the bottom six, which has been a pleasant development again.
Yeah, and it's not just production offensively. I mean, they look like they're making an impact every time they go out there.
Yeah.
Kampf, Lorentz, those were guys that you kind of notice. And whether it's penalty kill play or 5-on-5, Steves obviously gets kind of checked out of this game due to his play, and Berube probably not trusting him to an extent there, and even seeing this guy that's a new guy to Berube. We've seen him up here with the Leafs before, but that was with Sheldon Keefe in the past. So even Berube probably in a bit of a feeling out process. The other guys, they look like they're going. And one thing I want to say, let's talk about some of the Nick Robertson stuff here quickly, and then I'll let you get out of here and we'll keep this thing going. But you've said it, and it's something that I've talked about on the post-game show as well. And I brought it up on Saturday. Crazy enough that he's now gone on this run he has since that was said, was like, the guy does not cheat you on effort. And he's done all these things this year to add to his bag of tools that was fairly limited early on, where it was like, I score goals. It was like, well, Nick, you don't score goals, so what the fuck else do you do? And it was like, okay, well, now you're going to go to the press box. Since that point, and since the beginning of the season, when he demanded the trade or whatever it was, it feels like things have trended a lot differently for him. He's bought into playing better defensively. I wouldn't say he's like a Selke candidate out there, but the guy's not a liability anymore. We're seeing him play a physical game. Tonight, I mean, you see him go in there and he throws a jab at Jeremy Swayman, draws a crowd, and he doesn't turn and just skate away and pretend nothing's happening. Yeah, he's not like he's jumping in there to throw punches, but turns around face to face to the guy. He's okay with the engagement. He's okay with the encounter. I don't know that this is a guy that stays past the trade deadline. With all that said, I don't know that you feel that way either, but how have you kind of felt about Nick Robertson saying, hey, you know what, I've got to find other ways here, and I've got to add to who I am as a player if I'm going to play on a nightly basis right now?
Look, oftentimes, I think the big separator for guys who are going to be legitimate NHL players and guys who are going to be fringe guys for the majority of their careers is consistency. And through the early part of his career, he's had moments where he's proven he can score at the NHL level. He's had moments where he just hasn't been able to produce. And I think the biggest difference is other players able to evolve and contribute in a different facet that's not goal scoring. And Robertson has just been very one-dimensional. I know Ryan Wheatley rating in the chat, Robo is on a heater. Fuck all you haters before wanting them on the chopping block 6 months ago. It's like, let's relax a bit here, guys. It's like, again, getting back to the Rosie combo the other day. He was hot and horny about Alex Steves. It's like game 57 of the season. I know this feels this is a good win, folks. Like, they win 5-4 in OT here in Boston, but I'm not losing sight of the playoffs. Like, I need a large sample size to suggest things are different. I think they're all vets in the management department. They're not going to look at this 3-game stretch and be, okay, that's it. We're not picking up additional wingers. Holmberg's our guy. Robertson's our guy. But this is good. Like, all things considered, whether you're thinking about dumping Robertson or moving him, or a team's looking at the player, it doesn't ever hurt the team that these guys are playing well. So a win is a win is a win, as they always say, but I'm going to temper expectation. I'd say the same thing if it was somebody else. Like, this, again, the season is so long. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. If you recall, there was a moment in this season where the Toronto's power play was humming. That's not the story anymore. So
yeah,
I always like to stay level-headed, and I learned that a long time ago working with a lot of players in this league.
I see a comment there. 6 1/3 says Zack had completely given up on Nick. Am I right? I mean, I probably am still in the same boat in regards to how much I trust him. Like, that's just the honest truth. We both said it. The effort's there. Adapting to styles and playing a different game, it's there. I don't know. I'll just I'll leave that one as it is. Last thing for you here, just quick one. How nice does it feel going into the trade deadline? Because I don't think I talked to you again on a post-game show before. How nice does it feel to not have, should we pick up David Riddick? Should we go out there and get another goaltender? Do we need to is Marc-Andre Fleury, should we bring that guy in? Like, I feel like this is the first time in a long time the conversation hasn't been, knock on wood, obviously, injuries aside, that we've sat and talked about, wow, we might need to go and get another guy. We might need to add pieces here in the crease.
Look, I'm gonna knock on wood, Zach, because there's 25 games left, and you know my feeling on goalies. Every time I talk to Carter Hutton on Leafs Morning Take, I just direct everything at him and say, "You goalies," very Don Cherry-esque. But these guys are unpredictable. It's a good run. Anthony Stolarz has been such a revelation for this team. Wall's been good, but they're one injury away from having Hill to be in there, and Matt Murray and me pulling out my hair more than it needs to. So I'm happy. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really consistent and strong about this crease, and I don't care who plays game one of the playoffs. I'm into Wall. I'm into Stolarz. Again, I thought he was just a massive story in this game. That's not going to be spoken about as much as it should because he surrendered 4 goals, but I thought he was great. And the timeliness of the saves, it was just a really character win for me, where it's like, in the past, especially against this opponent, I think the Leafs lose this game, but they found a way to dig deep and win that hockey game, and I love that.
We got a trade proposal in the chat here. John Gallagher says, trade Zack and Nick for a front row seat in Perverts Row and 3 free lap dances at the brass rail.
Ooh. Not a strip club guy, I'll be honest. Not crazy about that.
No, neither am I.
Waste of money.
What the fuck?
I work too hard for my money. Sorry, boys.
That's the After Dark show for you right there. Nick, thank you for joining us here. Appreciate it as always. What do you guys have on Leafs Morning Take tomorrow?
Tomorrow we got Dave Pagnotta, the 4th period. We're going to do a trade deadline preview show. So we'll talk about deals, talk about Rantanen. We'll talk about the latest on Marner. He had a pretty good scoop last week, did Dave, on John Tavares, potentially the framework of what a potential new contract extension could look like. So we'll look at that. And we also got Brian Burke coming up on Thursday, and we're going to poke around deadline talk with him. That should be fun too.
What a schedule on the program this week. That's how you subscribe here, Leafs Nation 401. Nick, thank you as always. Appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you again soon, and I will be tuned into the chat there tomorrow.
My pleasure. See you in Nashville. Take care.
If you want to see Nick in Nashville, make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca. That is the easiest way to do so. Flight packages, non-flight packages, we've got it because we've got it all on this trip. This is the Nation vacation with the Leafs Nation. From March 20th to 23rd, we're packing our jerseys and heading to Nashville to watch Toronto take on Nashville in their own barn. Talking hockey action and the kind of memories that only come when you roll deep with the Nation crew. Flight packages, prefer your own travel, doesn't matter. We've got it all. Make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca. Nashville awaits. See you there. All right, nationgear.ca. Make sure to head on over there. We do have our first super chat of the night here as well. We are a little bit shy of 50 likes on the post-game show here tonight. So make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401. As you heard Nick say there, David Pagnotta on the program tomorrow. First super chat of the night. I don't even have much to say or add on this one. Robert Smith with the super chat. Robert, massive super chatter here for us. We appreciate that. Roberts just sends a sticker. Just a rolling on the floor laughing sticker. Robert, thank you. Appreciate it. Keep those super chats coming. Proceeds from your super chats go to the Sick Kids charity. Make sure to get those in here now on the show. All right, let's keep it moving. I'm going to try my best here now to actually do a real show and move things around and not be like this unprepared idiot who pushes everything off to the end and goes, oh crap, I have all these segments to do. So with that said, as we've just done our first super chat of the night, let's get into our next segment of the show, and we're going to keep it moving. We'll bounce things around, and we'll do our play of the game, and our play of the game segment is presented by Greta. Great spot before, during, and after the game. Check out the great street food menu, which I was checking out on Thursday during the Four Nations final between Canada and the U.S., and also checking out last Saturday as well. Unbelievable food, unbelievable drinks. The staff there is amazing. Make sure to head on over to Greta. We do have another event coming up there. You guys can hear a little bit more details about that shortly, but weekly drink specials. Greta Bar is the place to be. 590 King Street West, Greta Bar. Let the games begin. Let's get to our play of the game. How's that for hosting and being on top of things and doing my job every now and then? I finally decide, all right, we'll step it up and we'll get something done. And that's how we decide to do it. We'll put some segments together. Make sure to keep hitting that like button. We did hit 50 here, and we'll do that after we do our play of the game. You guys send your plays of the game in there. I'm going to go with the entire overtime sequence that leads to Mitch Marner's goal. First of all, which should not be kind of brushed over or just forgotten about in all of this either, is the fact that Mason Lohrei just walked the entire Maple Leafs defense, waltzed right out to the front of the net, but Stolarz with just an unbelievable save stretching across as Lohrei tries to get all the way across and reach out and extend past him and tuck it into the empty net. Stolarz saves that while also getting absolutely lit up by Lohrei, who is not a small man, mind you. He gets taken out. As the puck comes out, the rebound pops out. I think it's gets picked up, sent out to Mitch Marner, who goes in on the breakaway, goes in, makes a nasty move on Swayman, hits him with a little hezzy step there, pulls it, bang, down goes Swayman. He hits the dust, laying down. He's frozen. He can't move anywhere. Marner tucks it into an empty net, calls it game. 5-3, Maple Leafs in overtime there against the Bruins. Comeback. Battle back from the team. Second goal of the night from Mitch Marner. It was an absolute beauty of a night from him. And, I mean, to fight back like that and to have that production and in TD Garden again, it's kind of unfortunate that this is probably going to be the first year where we're just not going to end up having games in Boston or against TD, because it's Mitch Marner finally owns TD Garden. The Leafs, they've broken it. They're 3-0-1 against the Bruins. And then, we're not, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to sell off and that'll be it. So yeah, it's watching that. We're not going to get to put the theory to test, which I almost want to do here, which is kind of a sicko move by me. I know that. I'm well aware of how stupid it is of what I'm saying right now. But regardless, kind of wish we could see it. We won't, but kind of wish we could. Anyways, that is my play of the game. Honorable mention is going to be Mitch Marner's other goal. He gets that thing on the power play, walks down, has the patience and the poise to stop everybody. I think every single player on the ice, probably including Mitch Marner, was anticipating a pass from him, and not a shot. He freezes everybody, freezes both defensemen. He gets it off also, mind you, watch that thing back in the nick of time, because as he's pulling that thing and he's kind of sliding in on the little mohawk there with your skates like that, as he's doing that, the spread eagle, he's got it open. He's got back pressure coming in there, and he just gets it off and beats Swayman up far side. If he is 0.5 seconds, 0.2 seconds maybe late, that thing is getting picked off. His stick is getting lifted. The Bruins possibly taking that thing and going the other way shorthanded. He just gets it off, rips it top corner. That is also my honorary mention. And then on top, I'm just going to throw out there for the sake of it, honorable mention is Anthony Stolarz. I do not give a flying fuck that Anthony Stolarz finished tonight's game with an .889 save percentage. I don't care that he let in 4 goals on 36 shots. I thought Stolarz looked good. I thought he made the big saves when he needed to. I don't blame him really for any of the goals that were scored against him here tonight. Like I don't remember watching these and going, oof, Stolarz has to have that. Hey, like, you let one in on Pastrnak on a breakaway 29 seconds into the game. That's a breakdown on defense. Their geeky power play goal, it's a breakdown on the penalty kill that allows a 3-on-1 down low against OEL. It gets kicked across to geeky backdoor, buries that thing in the empty net. And I mean, just digging through, okay, sure, maybe the second Pastrnak goal where he goes top dead under the bar there when he's walking out from below the goal line, or coming up just above the goal line, and he beats Stolarz like that. Maybe, I guess you could say, but that's a perfectly placed shot. Just beautifully placed shot by him. So, look, I thought that this was a pretty good night for Stolarz. You get contributions from your depth. You get Mitch Marner on the board. You beat the Bruins. You come back and win this one. Yeah, they get a point out of it, but like Jeff O'Neill was talking about during the broadcast tonight, which I think is a great point and something worthy of bringing up, and he was on Leafs Morning Take this morning, so if people haven't checked that out, make sure to go on over there and watch the O-Dog on with Nick and Rosie this morning. But it's just like, you beat the Bruins in their own barn. Mitch Marner breaking nightmares and curses and all that kind of stuff and getting over his own mental hump here maybe. Like, maybe now Mitch owns TD Garden. And I don't know if they play the Bruins again in the first round or in the playoffs at all. I don't know if the Bruins even make the playoffs. You came back, you made their lives harder, you took away a point from these guys and an opportunity to get to the playoffs. There's a lot that I feel much happier about tonight than instead of wanting to reflect on how bad things were to open the game. So I'm going to choose to do that here in tonight's post-game show and how I'm kind of analyzing this one, because you know what reality is, if we really want to dig into it, that was a fucking shitty first period and shitty start to the second period, and then finally things start to turn around and you're in a better spot going into the third. Then you come back down 3-1, tie this thing up, go down 4-3, tie it up again. I don't know, I'm much happier at that. If anybody wants to call into the show here tonight as well, I did send the link in the chat. You can click that button, click that link. You call in. You don't have to come in on video. I want to know how you're feeling. If other people are just as fired up about tonight's game as I am and about the comeback victory. And, you know, I'm not going to use this as a game where I say, hey, this team is different. I think saying that at this point is only going to get me in trouble and only going to get me clipped, because I've probably said it 25 times this year already. I had Carter on. I had him say it. I had Rosie on. I had him say it. And I think Nick has said it as well. So for me, I'm going to retire the word or the phrase, this team is different, until we see otherwise, or until we at least get to the playoffs and can find out for sure if this team is different. But I'm just going to be excited about this game. You've won 3 straight coming out of the Four Nations. The other thing that I kind of started to think about, and someone who's doing this more and more and talking about hockey every day and being kind of in the media side of things as a full-time position here now, is like, what would the conversation have been if we came out of the Four Nations break and you dropped one of the 2 on the weekend, or you went 1-2 over the last 3, or you lost all 3? We would have been absolutely snapping. And I gave them the excuse before the Carolina game. Oh, okay, there's rust, and the game might not be that pretty. It might be a little bit of an ugly one. Might have to fight through some things and battle your way in or whatever. You're 3-0. And you beat the Carolina Hurricanes, who are a team that are competing for the Stanley Cup. You travel to Chicago on the second night of a back-to-back, and you beat the Blackhawks and snap the curse, I guess if we want to call it, of not being able to win in regulation in Chicago in 20 years. 20 years. That's an insane amount of time to not win in an opposing team's barn. Then you go to Boston, where you are owned by the Bruins. They always have an answer for you. They always have an answer for you, especially in Boston. That building gives me nightmares, and I don't even go there. I've never been there. And the idea, the sheer concept of going or thinking about or traveling to or seeing on TV the Toronto Dominion Garden gives me the shakes. And you go in there after 2 wins on the weekend against the Bruins. You go down 2-0 early. You're playing like hot garbage. You find a way to come back and tie this game not once, but twice. Morgan Rielly gets his 501st career point. Mitch Marner scores because he decides to shoot the fucking puck, which is something that he does not do. Then you got Nick Robertson who scores. A guy that we look at, oh, he doesn't score. I'm still not convinced he's going to score consistently, but regardless, physical play, getting engaged, pissing off Jeremy Swayman, pissing off Bruins defenders, scoring goals. Oh, and on top of that, Pontus Holmberg is on an absolute fucking heater right now. 4 goals in his last 3 games, 2 against Carolina, 1 against the Blackhawks, and 1 here tonight. So as much as people may want to look at some of the other goals and like, garbage, or didn't really count, or hit him and went in, blah, 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 that goal tonight comes at a massive, massive, massive time in this game. Late in the third period, the big boys are gassed. They are out of energy. They are cooked. Matthews can't even move his legs anymore. They got to pull them off. Wholesale line change. Get those guys out of here. Over the boards comes Pontus Holmberg. It's like Craig Patrick sending out Baker at the end of the game against Sweden in Miracle on Ice. You're looking out there and he's like, we need a goal. Herb Brooks looks down and goes, what the hell are you doing? Next thing you know, Pontus Holmberg ties the game up. You're getting contributions, and then Mitch Marner with almost a play of the century with the drop to his foot, kick across to John Tavares in OT, and then he buries that thing on a breakaway that comes off of an Anthony Stolarz highlight reel save on the other end. Yes, there were holes in this game. Yes, a lot of it was ugly. Yes, some of the big boys were missing for periods of time, and I wish that we could get them to compete or show up or be as prominent as guys like David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand, who yet again show up and get on the board here tonight against the Maple Leafs. But you found a way, and you make it 3 straight. I think at the end of the day, that is something that you can be proud of as a Leafs fan watching this win. I'm not willing to say different, because I've done that too many times and it's bit me in the ass. But this is a fun win. A fun hockey game and a fun win. Digging back into the chat here and what we've got. I see some stuff asking for updates on player injuries. Not sure. Like, legit have no idea. I am basically more in the dark than you guys at this point, especially when we're like live on the show post game. I mean, this is me right now trying to figure out if I can find anything about Nylander. RotoWire, held out of overtime. Something was bothering Nylander. Maple Leafs News tweeted Craig Berube said that something was bothering William Nylander, which kept him out of playing overtime. David Alter, Craig Berube says Chris Tanev will need to be evaluated. Didn't have a further update than that. He also said something was bothering William Nylander, which kept him out of the overtime session. There you go. So there's your answer. Something was bothering him feels a little bit more comforting than Yeah, he's got an injury and we had to like withhold him. I don't know. Just the wording of that made it feel comforting. The Leafs Nation Twitter account, which you guys should all be following at TLNDC there, or on X, whatever the hell it's called now. The Leafs did something they hadn't done in 62 years. Ready for this? The Leafs win their first game in Boston after trailing 3-0 since November 7th, 1963. Let's see what happened in 1963. I genuinely don't know. Let's just try to push a narrative here. 1963-64 NHL Stanley Cup champion. Well, isn't that convenient? Contested between the defending champion Toronto Maple Leafs and Detroit Red Wings for the second straight year, the Maple Leafs overcame a 3-2 series deficit to defeat the Red Wings in 7 games for their third straight championship. Well, maybe this isn't... Oh, no, never mind. That was the next year, 64. Oh, yeah, that was that year then, 63-64. There you go. Maybe this is the start of 3. Second Stanley Cup three-peat by the Maple Leafs. Wow. 63. No, what is November 11, 7, 1963. There's not really enough numbers there. I was trying to like piece together and do some like astrology stuff or like whatever, but didn't end up coming to fruition. Regardless, Leafs won that year. Leafs won. Take that for what you will. 6 1/3. Leafs win the cup. Leafs win the cup. Yep. There you go. We did hit 50 likes on the stream here tonight. We are almost at 100 likes as well, and we have nearly 200 people watching. So there's no reason that we can't get ourselves up to that 200 like, 200 likes, sure. 100 like mark here on the show tonight. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here to the channel, Leaf Station 401, right here on YouTube, whether it's post-game shows, which I will be back on Thursday for the post-game. No, I will be back on... What day is today? Today's Tuesday. I'll be back on Friday for the post-game against the Rangers. We'll be back on Sunday against the Penguins, and then Monday after that. So a little bit of a busy weekend coming up here, but that's the next game. Make sure to subscribe. And then every day, Monday to Friday, Leafs Nation, the Leafs Morning Take will be off with Nick Alberga. They will be absolutely buzzing. David Pagnotta tomorrow. They will be kicking off. I just should say saying they will be off is very confusing. So keep hitting that like button. Here's the salts. Thank you. KPG, I know, got his own smelling salts. There you go. That's what you like to hear. Everyone's buying in. Thanks for liking. Let's get it to 100. We'll do it again. Here you go. Whoa, there you go. All right. Let's recap our best bet and see... I actually haven't even checked to see if the best bet won tonight. I kind of tuned out of that one after the fact where I was not looking good early in the first period, and I said, okay, let me check later. Forgot. So let's dig into it here. Our best bet segment is presented by Bet365, proud partner of Leaf Station pregame and the Leaf Station after dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION. That's code NATION, NATION, all caps. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. What are we talking about in the chat right now? John Gallagher, Nick and Jody got married. Who? Congrats to Nick and Jody. Best bet tonight, no bueno. We are now on a 4-game freezer. Right back. You know, we had a hot streak there for 11 games. We won 10 of our best bets in 11 games. We got ourselves to 21-39 on the season. We got up 6.9. Actually, we were up over 7.25 units. Started slowly dwindling down. And tonight, with a loss on William Nylander, over 3.5 shots on goal at plus 185. We lose another half unit. That brings us to 5.5 8.75 units on the season that we are up. So we still have profited $575 so far this season, an ROI of 18% on the best bets given out, but it hasn't been that pretty lately. We've lost our last 4 here and now. Max Domi anytime, Matthew Nyes over 2.5, William Nylander over 3.5. So it's time to go back to the drawing board, find something else, find a different area of attack, and see what we can do to turn this around. As per injuries here tonight, and we'll get to our super chats here in the chat. I see there's a couple in there as well. Mark Masters has now tweeted out, no update on Chris Tanev brackets upper body after the game from the Leafs. Craig Berube will get evaluated tomorrow. Morgan Riley said, quote, one of the best D-men in the league, in my opinion. We hope he's not out too long. Well, everyone hopes that right now, Morgan. Everybody hopes that he is not out, especially Leafs fans who are sitting here going, does that mean 44 is going to play more minutes? Defensively concerning. Offensively right now, Mo's buzzing. So got to give him credit where it's due offensively. Let's get to a couple of our super chats that we've got here right now. Start with the first one. KPG with the super chat there. Thank you, KPG. Appreciate it. KPG just says, Cooper, quotes, somebody be selfish and shoot. Yeah, there you go. Agreed. I mean, at some point, you just got to step up and shoot. You got to be the guy. Mitch Marner decided he was going to shoot here tonight. Kudos on that. You decide, hey, I'll be the guy. I got the game on my stick. Let's do it. Gets this thing done. Scores earlier. Scores the OT winner. Can't be mad about that. Scout the Wookiee with the super chat here. Thank you, Scout. Scout says, just wanted to say Bruins are tied with Sens with 62 points, and Sens have 2 games in hand. This is true. I think the Bruins, I'm at this point, I just think the Bruins are going to miss the playoffs. I think they're going to miss the playoffs. What do we got? Let's see where we're at. Let's just go some fun vibes here before we close things out with our play of the game tonight and see how Chad is feeling. Get those likes up. We're 22 away. Debo says Tanev was seen leaving the Garden with his arm in a sling. Who said that? Yeah, I mean, sorry. I mean, I'm doing a podcast on a live show, and I'm not talking. I'm just watching the play again there, just trying to figure out. I mean, probably, right, it's his right shoulder, it looks like at that point. Goes in, jams it up. I've separated my shoulder twice doing that exact same thing. Yeah, that exact same thing. Who knows? I don't see any tweets personally. Not saying you're lying, but I don't see any tweets right now that say he left in a sling. Let me check somebody else here. Let's check. Luke Fox, Jukebox. Chris Tanev leaving TD Garden with his right arm in a sling. Okay, there you go. Well, sometimes I should just shut my mouth. You were correct. I think it was Debo pointed that out. I apologize. You were correct. I did find it. There you go. Tammy, I think I got your sticker. Yep, of course. Don't think I missed anything. Chat is saying, talking about, what did I miss? Carl says Summer of 69. We sing Summer of 69. Brian Adams. Oh, who's doing Brian Adams? Where is that? When did this start in the chat? Are you guys just typing Brian Adams lyrics to each other here? Summer of 69. Is that what's happening? Yeah, I see it. Played it till his fingers bled. Ha ha ha. You guys are good. Funny. Ha ha. Who is that? Carl DeCunha. Let's do one last non-serious topic before I get to something serious. Was it Carl said we should play something Canadian? When Leafs score a goal, they should play a Canadian song. Okay. I could get behind that. Playing a Canadian song. I would say like If I were to do it, a Canadian song that I would play. What song would you guys pick? Let's hear it. Let's hear it in the chat. Like Nickelback, Burn It to the Ground. That one fires me up. What is the other? What's this one? The I don't think, yeah, the Great Big Sea. That's what it is. Ordinary Day, Great Big Sea. I feel like that could get people going. Heave Away for the World Juniors and Team Canada was pretty sick. KPG says Tom Sawyer. The thing is, though, Tom Sawyer is like a slower build, and you kind of need the slower build to get into Tom Sawyer there and fully appreciate it. You need something for a goal song that comes and just punches you in the mouth. Like, that's part of why I loved, what is it, Kerncraft 400, like Zombie Nation. The Leafs gassed it, and then the Bruins picked it up. Chelsea Dagger, the Blackhawks, that one's pretty sick as well. I'm trying to think of some other goal songs that are really good. But, Billy T says the hip. I don't know if I like the hip for like a goal song. Like, when a goal gets scored, I want to like put my head through the wall because I'm ready to jump up and go nuts. Like, you got to get ready to fire. That's why I said burn it to the ground. Debo, I don't know. Debo, I'm not sure by the comment there. Burn it to the ground is crazy too. Whether Debo loves or hates that one. Yeah, Naughty 89, 88-34 pointing out there chanting USA when it was 3-0. They were. Or 3-1, sorry. They were. How did that one end? Animals, Nickelback. Betty, Taylor Swift. You want Taylor Swift? Is that even a song? Am I reading that right? Does Taylor Swift have a song called Betty? No, I'm not doing this. Who suggested that? Billy? No, John Gallagher. Come on. Okay. What else do we got here? Let's try to get to like maybe a more serious note. Actually, you know what? Tweet at me. If you guys haven't already, follow me on Twitter. If for no reason, or DM me on Instagram, whatever works best for you. DM me your goal songs. Send them there. Tweet them at me. DM them to me. I don't care. DM them to me on Instagram as well. Producer Vic. Haven't seen Producer Vic in a little bit. He's blowing darts. Let the players pick their own goal song. Also, Go Leafs Go. Players picking your own goal song is good. Pose that in the chat for the sheet earlier today. Like, what would you pick as your walkout song? Trying to think. Like, I always had an answer for what I would pick as my like fight song, but it's escaping my mind right now. Anyways, let's get back to a little bit more of a serious note here. Maybe I completely lost my mind. John Gallagher says, I'm going to turn you into a Swiftie. I like Taylor Swift, but you're not playing that as a goal song. Not for me. I'm not doing that. I can't do that. Just can't do it. Okay. Got Burn It to the Ground on 8 right now. There you go, Robert Smith. Respects to that. Appreciate that there. All right. What else do we have? Oh, well, we've talked about Greta and seeing you guys and meeting you guys in person. You guys can DM me, but if you want to actually meet me in person, or you want an opportunity to go to Nashville, then the perfect chance to do so would be at Flight Night. I don't know how many of you guys have seen it or heard about it or weren't aware. Make sure to head on over to Greta Bar for Flight Nights. We have another amazing event coming up here very, very soon, March 8th. At Greta Bar YYZ, Nation Airlines Flight Night presented by Fountain Tire. Join us for Flight Night on March 8th at Greta Bar YYZ as we watch Toronto take on Colorado and get your shot at an unforgettable Nation vacation to Nashville. One lucky winner and their guests will travel with the TLN crew and fellow Nation vacationers to Nashville, Tennessee from March 20th to 23rd, where Toronto will take on Nashville. The grand prize includes Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a round-trip airfare from Toronto to Nashville, Tennessee with Air Canada. Carry-on and personal item only. Checked bag available for an additional fee at check-in. Bus transportation to and from the airport. 3-night stay at the 4.5-star Waymore's guest house and casual club. Friday, March 21st, there will be an exclusive bar event at Love and Exile Bar featuring a live podcast recording and special surprise guests. Group tickets to watch Toronto take on Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. You must have a valid passport that is not expiring within 6 months of travel. Must be 21 plus to enter. See full rules on nationgear.ca. How do you win? Well, this is how you win. By purchasing a ticket, you're automatically entered into the raffle draw. Purchase more raffle tickets to support one broken biker and to be entered again. Additional entries are $20 each. You must be present at Greta Bar to win the package. Must be present. General admission for the event is $10. VIP admission is $40, which includes a Greta burger, beverage, and a game card. There you go. There is the man himself, Gordon Graham, showing up late there. But yes, make sure to come check us out. March 8th, Greta Bar YYZ. You want to meet Vacation Vic himself? Greta Bar YYZ, March 8th. You guys show up, we'll be ready to rock. There's a lot of people sending in their goal songs, what they would pick in the chat there, which I appreciate. Hall & Oates. Yeah, let's bring Hall & Oates back. All right, let's get out of here with our final thing and wrap up the show here tonight. And let's get to our grade of the game. I want to know where you guys are at, how you guys are feeling. I hope we see KPG and Maxentius Decimus March 8th there as well at Greta Bar YYZ. We did get to meet them at the last event we had, and this one, I mean, there's an extra kick. We gave away some t-shirts and Greta cards and game cards and all that kind of stuff at the last one. We gave away some hoodies, that kind of stuff. But this time, we're giving away a trip to Nashville. You don't want to miss that. Let's go to our grade of the game. I want to know what you guys are feeling, how you guys are thinking about this one tonight. I'm going to go, I think for tonight's game, tonight's game kind of feels like a B+. I think probably I would normally go with the B on a game like this. But this one, I'm going to go with the B+, just because I feel pretty pumped up and ready to, wreak some havoc at TD Garden and, pour some tea out into the lake and play shipping up to Boston and kick some stuff. I'm just pumped up that you came back here tonight. You get an overtime victory. You get depth contributions. You get pretty good goaltending. I know his save percentage on the night is not going to, it's not going to match how I feel about this one, but B+ for me. Vibes are in this one. You get on the get a goal on the power play. I don't know. Mitch Marner might have at this point, just snapped something out going off, and he's all good to go. I'm going to speak too soon on that one and have it come bite me in the ass. But, it's just we've reached this point where we're 2 weeks away from the deadline. I don't think anything between now and the deadline is going to change anything about what the organization and management wants to do other than injuries. So hear me out. I'm kind of just riding some vibes over the next 2 weeks until the trade deadline. And then when we come out of the trade deadline, it's back to serious analysis. Well, as serious as the After Dark show could be. But you get what I'm coming from with this. It's until this point, we needed to show who we were. Whether it was to the management or to the fans or to the rest of the league, whatever. You needed to show what the type of team you could be is. What you do now until March 7th is not going to change anything. It's not going to change how they view this. It's not going to change who they acquire, what they want to or don't want to acquire. It's really not. Maybe you feel slightly more confident in a guy, but I don't think it's going to change their plan, really. I think it makes you feel better about a guy that you were planning on keeping already. I don't think it makes you change anything else outside of that, because for the most part, you probably know who these guys are, really. So now you get yourself to the deadline and You make your way there, and this next 2 weeks is like, we might be seeing a bit of a different team after next Friday. We might wake up tomorrow morning and Braden Shen and Luke Shen are Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, we have no idea. It's the reality of this time of year. I'm kind of riding highs and lows on this one. I'm going to ride with this one. I enjoyed the win tonight. I was miserable for the first half, and I was pumped up for the second half. And you walk away with the win in the Toronto Dominion Garden in overtime with a goal from Mitch Marner off a massive save from Anthony Stolarz. Goaltending, special teams, depth scoring, D-man scores. Morgan Rielly, 500th career point, 501st career point. What a night for him. Look, I'm just going to have some fun here. Enjoy this. And as we get to the trade deadline, the one thing I will be monitoring is how the Daily Face-Off team is covering everything, and you should be monitoring that too. Mark your calendars because you do not want to miss the most exciting day of the NHL season. The Daily Face-Off trade deadline special is coming your way on March 7th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, and the DFO Live team is going to be live, breaking down every single move as it happens. Instant reaction, expert analysis, and all the behind-the-scenes drama of the biggest trades and news around the league. Plus, there will be special guests lined up throughout the show to give you exclusive insights from some of the biggest names in the game. From the blockbuster deals to the surprising moves, they'll be covering it all. So what are you waiting for? Tune into the Daily Face-Off's YouTube channel and follow Daily Face-Off on socials on March 7th. And let's break down the biggest deadline day in hockey. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. That's all for us here tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. For watching, subscribing, following, commenting, liking, sending super chats, all that kind of stuff. It makes the show a whole lot of fun. Thank you guys all for watching here today. No show for me until... Actually, let me just throw this out there because I felt bad. I saw it, and this person asked a question. Josh D. Savino said, who is your MVP being this season? And I'm going to go out of here on this one because it's not that hard for me. You can throw around Nylander, depth, coaches, whatever. The MVP for me is split between two guys, and it's the goalie tandem, Wall and Stolarz. Those are the MVPs, and they were the MVPs here again tonight. Anthony Stolarz was unreal, even despite his save percentage. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. That's all for me. I will be back on Friday for another post-game reaction after the game against the New York Rangers. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.